Black men date out their race more than all other men put together. You know why? Racial inferiority. We don't think we're as good as the white man, so we need the white woman in order for us to feel an artificial sense of equality. It is self-hatred to the 20th power. I'm not against white women, but I support black women. And in my support of black women, I cannot condone interracial dating. Why would you put out a movie on a black superhero and allow his entire community to get destroyed by an army of Mexicans? I also think that that was a CIA-fronted movie, and I think the message there was to desensitize American Africans to the coming oppression and replacement of them by the Mexican immigrants. Right now in Chicago, our second largest black city, you know what's happening? Joe Biden and the U.S. government is bringing busloads of Hispanics into Chicago to use them to do what? Help push black people out.
And your favorite president, Barack Obama.
Whose favorite president? But to answer your question, first of all, let's deal with Black Panther. Black Panther, I believe, was a CIA-backed movie. One thing you need to know about the United States, there is a congressional committee that supervises all movies that are released from Hollywood. And if you intend to produce a movie that is hostile to American interests, that movie will never be released. On top of that, the CIA and the FBI, they pay movie studios to include content that is favorable to America's agenda. When you look at the first Black Panther, the hero of the movie wasn't Prince T'Challa. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. It was CIA agent Ross, the white man who flew the plane back and actually saved Zuri, the Panther's sister. How can the CIA agent be a hero in an African movie when the CIA is responsible for destabilizing most African countries, responsible for the assassination of most African leaders? Who ordered the assassination of Patrice Lumumba? The CIA. Who provided intelligence to the apartheid government to help capture Nelson Mandela's and the other ANC leaders in exile? The CIA. Who had Maurice Bishop assassinated in Grenada? The CIA. So you mean to tell me the one governmental structure that was responsible for overthrowing and assassinating so many African leaders is now a hero in an African movie for African children? Complete propaganda. And as far as Wakanda Forever, the second movie, it was absolutely disgusting. I almost walked out. And you know why? Our children were so empowered with Black Panther 1. You come back for Black Panther 2. And you mean to tell me the Mexicans have the same vibranium as the Wakandans? The Mexicans got the same power as the Wakandans. So what's so special about the Wakandans if you're going to take all their power and give it to the Mexicans? And when you watch the movie, the Mexicans kick our ass through the whole movie. I couldn't take my child to go and watch that. I'm not going to take my child to go and watch that. Why would you put out a movie on a black superhero and allow his entire community to get destroyed by an army of Mexicans? I also think that that was a CIA-fronted movie, and I think the message there was to desensitize American Africans to the coming oppression and replacement of them by the Mexican immigrants. Right now in Chicago, our second largest black city, you know what's happening? Joe Biden and the U.S. government is bringing busloads of Hispanics into Chicago to use them to do what? Help push black people out, gentrify black Chicago, and also take over all the unused social services so black people can get nothing. Wakanda Forever was a prelude of what's going to happen to black America over the next 20 years.
KRS-One calls the CIA criminals in action.
And I call them the cocaine import agency, because the CIA is the founders of the international drug trade. The reason why America invaded Afghanistan 9/11, 2001 is because the Taliban burned the poppy seed. Afghanistan is the #1 opium producing nation in the world. And do you know what Colin Powell, rest in peace, who at the time was Secretary of State, he gave the Afghani government $10 to $20 million to replant the poppy seed. What does the American government care about poppy seed? They care about the dope. America, China, and Britain are the biggest drug dealers on the planet. You can sell drugs with their permission, but if you get caught selling drugs without their permission, they destroy you. Just go ask Freeway Ricky Ross.
Jeez. The official stance of a Pan-Africanist against our Mexican and other Hispanic brothers and sisters.
We're not against them. We're not against any race. We wish the best to the Latino family. And of course, Latino Africans are our brothers and sisters. Okay, so we don't see them any differently as we see anyone else. We wish the best to the Asian family, Caucasian family, Arab, Indian. We wish goodwill to all human groups. But our priority is to ourselves. And we will not allow any group, not Chinese, not Arab, not Indian, not European Jew, not Anglo-Saxon, to impede the progress of African people. So we're not against nobody else.
Yeah.
The problem is these other groups are against us often because nobody wants to help Africa, but everybody wants to loot Africa.
True.
You see, God set up the world in such a way that we have all the resources.
Yeah.
Nobody can live without Africa, but Africa don't need anybody else to survive. So that automatically means what? They have to come and take from Africa. And they do it in such an exploitative way that we don't get anything out of the deal. So in essence, many of these groups become natural enemies of African people. Europeans are natural enemies of African people. Europe has almost nothing. They cannot survive without Africa. See the vampire metaphor? You know, the vampire is very popular in European imagination because the European is a vampire. What is a vampire? A blood-sucking demon. And what has the European been doing in Africa for the past 300 years? Sucking the mineral and economic blood out of black people. It's time to crucify the vampire.
Your favorite president, Barack Obama.
My favorite president would be President General of the UNIA ACL, the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey.
Boom.
My favorite prime minister, Patrice Lumumba of the Congo. Runner-up, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Favorite revolutionary, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Runner-up, Nat Turner. Runner-up, Dedan Kimathi of the Kenyan Land and Freedom Army.
No Barack Obama?
Hell no.
Why not?
Sell out. He did nothing for African people. He put AFRICOM in Africa. Do you know that there's been about 12 coups in Africa over the past 5 years? And nearly every coup was in a country where Barack Obama built a U.S. military base. No coincidence. America doesn't believe in democracy. Britain doesn't believe in democracy. Amsterdam doesn't believe in democracy. Paris doesn't believe in democracy. They believe in domination. I don't care how many democratically elected presidents you get in Africa. If that democratically elected president doesn't carry out the agenda of the global white power structure, he will be overthrown, whether he was put in office through a vote or not. The white man does not believe in democracy. It's only a weapon that they use to achieve their ends, and they have no problem disposing with their weapon of democracy when it doesn't serve their agenda.
Jeez. I want to speak about your school, but before I do, again on behalf of my audience, what's a snow bunny?
A snow bunny is a white woman.
Black men stay away from snow bunny?
First of all, as Pan-Africanists, we believe in self-determination, African independence, right? So that means every school need to be built for and by black people. Every bank need to be built for and by black people. Every hospital needs to be built for and by black people. Every community needs to be built for and by black people. Every family needs to be built for and by black family. There's more African women on the planet than any other population. There's no other population that has more of itself than black women. So what excuse do I have dating outside of my race with so many African women? Now let's add to that the oppressive history that we've had with the European. These people have enslaved us. They have robbed us. They have colonized us. They have neo-colonized us. They've created all types of biological weapons, from AIDS to Ebola to West Nile to COVID. Every time we look up, they're coming up with a new scheme to exterminate African people. And you mean to tell me that white people have done all this to me and to my race, and I'm going to turn around and choose a white woman to carry my child? Do you know how sick that is? Why do I want to put my melanated seed in the belly of a devil? Why? It makes no sense. Black men date out their race more than all other men put together. You know why? Racial inferiority. We don't think we're as good as the white man, so we need the white woman in order for us to feel an artificial sense of equality. It is self-hatred to the 20th power. I'm not against white women. but I support black women. And in my support of black women, I cannot condone interracial dating. But let's look at the economics. Take the romance out. Take the emotion out. Let's look at the economics. Marriage is a business contract. Women on average live longer than men. So if I marry a white woman and I die prematurely, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. I die prematurely, rest in peace, marvelous Marvin Hagler. That white woman is not going to take any of the wealth that I built as a black man and give it to the black community so we can help regenerate ourselves. She's going to keep that money for herself, and all that black money will go back into the hands of white society. Interracial marriage is economic betrayal.
Are there any good white people in the world?
There may be, but it doesn't matter. And you know why? No matter how good an individual white person may be, they have an obligation to look out for the best interests of the white race. Therefore, no matter how well-meaning they may be, at the end of the day, they're going to close ranks with their own people. Every white person has an obligation to promote and protect white privilege. If there were so many good white people in the world as so many black multiculturalists claim, why is apartheid still in effect? Why do you have 200,000 homeless black people in South Africa? Why are there 3,000 South Africans who own more than the bottom 32 million of South Africa? Why has the income equality in South Africa gotten worse since April 27th of 1994? If you got all these good white people, we should see some structural evidence of their good deeds. Show me the good deeds of those good demons, and I'll change my mind.